Looks like 3 probes. AeriALs going to move his Sea-Shanks in close. And this is kind of reminiscent of, and this is what I really love about Othello, because it has just a combination of a bunch of different maps that just makes it such a great game. And it's kind of reminiscent of Lost Temple, except unlike Lost Temple, you can, you know, send Zealots to this gap to attack those Sea-Shanks. Unfortunately for Ratan, he has no Zealots at all. He has not made the tech switch from mainly observers to Zealots at this point for that Zealot speed, and he's forced to just wait it out. His Dragoons cannot fit through that gap, so he's just forced to wait it out. Looks like he's not building Dragoons. I did see a shuttle being produced. There it is. So he's going to get a shuttle to try to chase off the Sea-Shanks, but those Sea-Shanks are long gone. AeriAL is realizing, okay, the probes are gone. He couldn't really shell the Nexus without exposing his dropship to Dragoon fire, so he went ahead, just retreated him. Might bring it up and around to attack the main base probe line, which, no, looks like he's not going to do that. Shuttle up on the high ground now, though, with 2 Dragoons, in case Mr. Tanks decide to come back. It looks like that shuttle is going to decide to go ahead and come back. 3 Dragoons waiting for that shuttle to 4 Dragoons, so if that shuttle can become a very, very unlucky shuttle. Wow! Did you see that 360 move by that shuttle there? That shuttle just did a nice 360 move. Unfortunately for Ratan, no Dragoons out in the middle to try to flank that dropship and catch it out in the open. That was really cool to see that just dropship just bam, good timing by AeriALs getting that dropship to turn back. Meanwhile, AeriAL has been macroing up quite a large force back at home, and this is exactly what you want to do as a Terran player against the Protoss. You just want to constantly harass, make Ratan waste his micro trying to defend against harass and putting his army everywhere but nowhere at once, and that's going to allow AeriALs here to siege up in his natural. Well, better to have them siege and unsiege in case of some random attack, but this is going to allow AeriALs to just keep macroing. He's not being attacked at all. All he's doing is he's just building SCVs, he's just building troops. He's got his 4 factories, which is standard. If he had 5 or 6 factories on 2 bases, that means he's going for a little bit heavier of a push, but he's doing the standard 4 factory. There should be 2 armories somewhere nearby. Oh, no armories. That's kind of surprising. You usually see armories at this point. Taking out that neutral building, so Terran forces have a little bit easier time getting out. Ratan opted not to take his third. Well, he is taking. Well, he's got pylons and intend to take his 3rd base, but he put the Nexus down at the mineral only here at the, call it the 4 o'clock location. And AeriAL's now moving on. This is common. He's at about 100 food. Yep. Okay, so this is the 100 food Terran push. And if you're a Protoss player, what you gotta look for is if he doesn't have armories, look for the Terran force to gather up about 100 food, and then they'll push out. Unless they're waiting for the 1-1 push, which means that they'll have a little bit more forces later on, which means you better be macroing up a hella big army. Comsat going off, locating some of the Protoss army. And unfortunately for Ratan, it just looks like his APM just isn't quite keeping up. AeriALs has a huge force coming in, and Ratan just does not have that many units. He doesn't even have speed upgraded Zealots. Speed only about halfway done. And here comes the push. We might see a little bit of a gully push. We saw a dropship earlier flying along with these forces. Don't want to win, but it could shuttle forces potentially up on the high ground here. And AeriALs doing a nice push all the way to the natural expansion. And there's just forces all over the place for Ratan. He's got to shuttle a little of Zealots, and unfortunately, he just let AeriALs go uncontested all the way up to his natural expansion. That is always a huge mistake. You don't ever want to let a Terran player walk all the way up to your natural expansion, especially to your choke, and start harassing you, because what that means is that he only has to focus his effort on just that one front. Of course, he does know that there's a flanking force, hence the spider mines, and the reason why his tanks are spread out in such a nice long line here. But that is just giving AeriALs just more of a chance to just take down that Nexus, and really Ratan cannot afford to lose that Nexus. He can't afford to let his army gather up on the top of this ramp either, because now look what happens. Bam! Everything is just being splashed. Reinforcements trying to come in from the rear, but there's just too many Sea-Shanks. And unfortunately, a lot of those Zealots got killed before they even got anywhere near those tanks. Good job with that shuttle, though, dropping off Zealots on top of those tanks. And while Ratan is going to easily, looks like, clean up this force, he lost a lot of troops in the process. He lost his natural expansion, and that's a win-win situation for AeriALs. If you can trade a Terran army for a Protoss army, that's win-win. Not to mention taking out a natural expansion. That's win-win for Terran, because a Terran army builds so much faster than Protoss, especially when the Protoss player is at the same number of gateways as AeriALs is factories. 5 factories to 6 gateways. Yeah, that's bad. That's very, very bad for Ratan right now. He just does not have enough gateways. He's not going to be able to keep up in troop production. Now that AeriALs has taken his 3rd base, ooh, nice storm. preventing that CC from finishing. But now that AeriALs has his third base with gas, and there's really not that many only one mining probe down here for Ratan at the minute only, and then also losing this second base. AeriALs is still just constantly reinforcing, and gonna lose to a couple C-Shanks. Nope, Dark Nova gets taken out. But now Ratan is in a very difficult position. He's trapped up on the top of his ramp. He has no flanking forces. He does not have enough gateways. You look at him. He's got 3 Dragoons in one, 2 Zealots in another, 3 Zealots in one. He does not have enough gateways, and you can see his mineral count is just skyrocketing. While AeriALs has been doing a very good job. He's been producing more factories. He's been producing troops. Well, okay, well that's not pretty, having 4 vultures in one factory, but hey, what are you gonna do? He's trying to micro his vultures over here at the same time. So Zealot's coming in, and I'm not quite sure what happened to that shuttle. He really needs to be using that shuttle a little bit more. 2 Dragoons standing idle up on the high ground, 2 Dragoons standing idle behind the mineral line. Not sure where that shuttle went still. Oh, there it is, has a High Templar. But AeriALs not going to push up. This was GG as soon as AeriALs got all the way up to Ratan's base. I mean, I just can't believe Ratan just let AeriALs move all the way into his natural. I was expecting him to at least try to fight for it, at least, you know, near this mineral only, you know, right in this area. This is a good defensive position for a Protoss, especially if you get High Templar up on that high ground. But he just let AeriALs move right on up, and now he's slowly pushing up into Ratan's base. Ratan trying to build up an army, but what's going to happen here is that Ratan is going to try to shuttle drop here. High Templar, not going to happen. But what AeriALs is going to do here is he's just slowly going to push up into the Protoss base, and there's really nothing that Ratan can do about it. Ratan trying to get this expansion going, but still not really enough to help up against a 3-base Terran, and just reinforcements are just constantly pouring over in. And Ratan has lost this game. He should realize that without arbiters or carriers and his main base mined out, it's pretty much GG. He knows that the 3rd base of the Terran is online, and that he's boxed in. He can't get out. 3rd base has been discovered. Vulture gonna try to take out that photon cannon. But good job by Ratan nonetheless, just constantly sending out Zealots to harass those C-Shanks. But AeriALs, he's got another big force macroed up at home here, and he'll be sending that over to keep the pressure on Ratan. Ratan is so far behind economically. At least he's been able to spend his resources, and now it's AeriALs' turn for the resources to start climbing. But now Vulture is going to start harassing these probes and then take out this base. And Ratan, rather pitifully small army compared to a Terran that can get into good defensive position. 3 C-Shanks, a bunch of Vultures. They'll lay down spider mines here pretty soon to yeah, as soon as AeriALs notices that there's forces right here, he's going to pull those C-Shanks back and get those Vultures to lay down spider mines. Just a lot of Vultures, and this is pretty much GG for Ratan. So this is PsyonicReaver. Wow, that was a nice spider mine. I guess I was ending my commentary posthumously there, but really there's nothing Ratan can do. He goes ahead and GG's and leaves the game. So game 1 goes to AeriALs on Othello. So we're going to go ahead and move on to game 2. This is PsyonicReaver. Thanks for listening.